It's day 2 for lockdown orders in China's top financial hub. A Tesla factory closes its doors for the week, while bankers are spotted camping out in their offices. Across China, strict stay-at-home measures are driving citizens to get creative and find new ways to make ends meet. A man found dead in his apartment after neighbors noticed something was very wrong. The incident struck a major Chinese city known as the world's factory. Hollywood star Keanu Reeves gets banned in China. His movies have been pulled from the country's biggest streaming platforms, all because he attended a certain event. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. First, let's zoom in on Shanghai. The top Chinese financial hub has become the center of the current COVID-19 outbreak in the country, caused by the Chinese Communist Party or CCP virus. Half of the city is now on day 2 of lockdown orders, while the other half is set to shutter later this week. The split lockdown will impact virtually all of the city's 26 million residents, while the business and manufacturing sectors there are also primed for slowdowns. Tesla's Shanghai Gigafactory is located in the first section under shutdown orders. Its doors will remain closed for 4 days, in accordance with local rules. Those details come from a Bloomberg report. The Shanghai facility produced half of Tesla's cars globally last year. Looking to the financial district, one section of Shanghai is known as China's Wall Street. Filled with skyscrapers and offices, bankers and traders there appear to have come up with an unusual solution to keep the financial hub ticking through the lockdown. 20,000 of them are bedding down in offices, complete with sleeping bags and basic overnight supplies, trying to beat the shutdown until orders lift for that half of the area Friday. Lockdowns across some parts of China are still underway, with new orders popping up in recent weeks. Many are stuck inside, causing food supplies and medical care to become an issue. Amid the heightened tensions, conflicts between residents and security guards, or even police officers also have been breaking out. One incident in southern China was caught on video. The city of Shenzhen is home to a huge manufacturing sector, and so it earned the nickname the world's factory. But one woman was spotted accusing police of assault. Shenzhen had been under lockdown for weeks until those orders were partially lifted last week. And back in another major hub, residents in Shanghai cleared out store shelves ahead of new lockdown orders. That's on top of the manufacturing closures we covered earlier. The demand jumped for foods and grocery prices soaring. A 2-pound head of cabbage now costs the equivalent of a whopping $12. Beyond grocery stores and markets, others were spotted trying to escape perimeters. Clips have surfaced showing people both young and old trying to scale walls. That's to get to work, because other entrances and exits have been blocked. The shutdowns have also forced locals to get creative in other ways. With yellow cab drivers hurting for customers with everyone stuck at home, they've had to come up with a new way to drum up business and pay their overhead costs. Seeing an opportunity amid increased demand, some of them are now selling groceries. Problems have plagued parts of northeastern China too. One resident from Changchun City complained about local authorities on social media over the weekend. He explained that after recently testing positive for COVID-19, he was locked inside his home, and local authorities didn't respond to his request for help. Later, his sister was also diagnosed with the infection and still had no aid from authorities. Instead, they've sought help online through social media. To explain more about what's happening, Chinese authorities said who tests positive for the virus will be sent to the hospital or a makeshift hospital. But official virus numbers are believed to be largely underreported, meaning healthcare facilities may already be filled, with no more room to treat additional patients. That's not all. Another curious situation was caught on tape, this time involving long-distance transport truckers. In some cases, the doors to these vehicles have been sealed, with their drivers inside. Video shows a security guard slapping a seal on the door of one truck's cab with the driver inside, blocking him in. The seal itself indicates that official permission is needed to remove it. And on the mass testing front, Chinese authorities have pushed round after round of large-scale testing for all residents in various cities and districts. To date, the highest known record for number of times a single person has been tested totals a whopping 70 times in just the span of several months. In another case, one family had a hole drilled into their front door, seemingly to get tested while staying isolated inside and reducing possible transmission risks. In China's fourth largest city, Shenzhen, a man was found dead at his home during lockdown. Nobody found out his death until his neighbors smelled something was wrong. Officials are refusing to explain how he died. NTD talked to one of his neighbors to find out more.
After a prolonged lockdown in South China's Shenzhen city, a resident reportedly died at home this month. Some say the man died of hunger, but there is no official explanation yet. Chinese NTD interviewed a local resident and confirmed the death. She lives in the building next to the one where the man lived. To protect her identity, we distorted her voice and kept her anonymous.
The deceased is our neighbor. He's young. He's in his 30s. Some say he's 37. We know where he lives, but don't know how he died. Many say he died due to the lockdown, but the community refused to explain how he died.
She says she saw pandemic control staff going in and taking away the body.
That night, we just finished dinner. Then we saw people in white protection suits coming in with a stretcher and taking the body away. They prohibited anyone from getting outside. When they carried the body out, they had to pass through our area. They covered the stretcher so that we couldn't see the man inside.
As to how they found out about the man's death, community authorities say they want to check upon the man's relatives' request, but the neighbor says otherwise.
People living next door to him say it's them that reported the death to the community because the body stinks and they could smell it.
The local resident says it's still uncertain how the man died. She says even though there is not a single positive case in the area, the lockdown still lasted for almost a month, and food deliveries during this time were scarce, far from enough to feed a family. What's worse, she says, is that people could not go to work during lockdown and earn a living. At the same time, prices have been soaring. She says some people couldn't bear it anymore.
There's someone trying to commit suicide. It's my next-door neighbor. This person wanted to jump off the building.
But fortunately, people inside the room managed to drag the person inside and prevented the tragedy.
Microchips are taking the Senate floor. The upper chamber approved a bill focused on the Monday. The move aims to boost the U.S. semiconductor industry in an effort to combat communist China. Right now, the majority of semiconductors or microchips are produced in Asia using U.S. technology. But the issue has seen boosted interest in recent months, following the pandemic-driven global chip shortage that's disrupted production worldwide. Now, Washington is putting more emphasis on bringing chip production back to U.S. shores. The Senate passed the measures 68-28. The now-passed plan designates $52 billion for chip innovation and for boosting U.S. factory production. Earlier this year, the House and the Senate passed their own version of microchip-related bills. Both intended to encourage manufacturing competition with China, but took different approaches on trade and some climate measures. After months of discussion, the new bill opens a door for an agreement on a compromise version between the two chambers. Away from Capitol Hill and onto the White House, exactly how much funding does the administration allocate for defense? And how much for countering the Chinese Communist Party's growing assertiveness in the sector? The White House laid out spending plans for next year on Monday. President Biden's plan called for a wealth tax, plus more funds for law enforcement and defense. Out of a $5.8 trillion budget, Biden proposed giving the Department of Defense $773 billion. That's almost $45 billion more in this year's budget. Alongside money to help Ukraine, it prioritizes China as, quote, the department's pacing challenge. It also sets aside $400 million for a related effort, the Countering the People's Republic of China Malign Influence Fund. Beyond U.S. shores, the plan also touches on a critical region for U.S. security, the Indo-Pacific. The plan earmarks $1.8 billion for U.S. policy in the region and another $7.6 billion to boost State Department personnel, especially in that area. The main threat facing the region is Beijing's expansion and influence as it ramps up aggression towards Taiwan and the South China Sea. Actor Keanu Reeves' career prospects in China might be in jeopardy. That's after he performed at an online concert for Tibet House. Tibet House is a New York-based nonprofit that aims to preserve Tibetan culture. After the performance, some of China's biggest online streaming platforms pulled movies starring Reeves, at least 19 of them. Examples include the Matrix trilogy, Speed, Something's Gotta Give, and The Lake House. Reeves' name was also wiped from the platform's search results. China is the world's largest film market, and Reeves is far from the only star that's upset Chinese authorities over Tibet. The list includes big names like Lady Gaga, Selena Gomez, and Brad Pitt. Beijing banned Pitt from entering China for almost 2 decades following his film 7 Years in Tibet. And that's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We are now sharing a shortened version of our program on YouTube. That's after being demonetized for a year. Full episodes can be watched on our partner platform, Epoch TV. To sign up for a 14-day free trial, please click the link down below. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow.
Every once in a while, something comes along so masterful, it leaves you in awe. So inspiring, it changes your life. So beautiful, you wish it would never end. When that happens, it's something not to be missed. Shen Yun, an all-new production every year.
The performance was enchanting.
I feel better about the world. I feel uplifted.
It touches you. It really does.
The expertise of the dancers was really, really strong.
To know that it was live music was really fantastic.
We didn't want to miss this.
Make sure you see it.
Have to come. Life-changing.